What's happening, guys? I haven't made an A Girl's Guide 2 review for quite a while, so now I'm back on my game. Now, everybody loves a hot hatch, right? Sporty, fun, practical, and here's one behind me with bags of character, the new Renault Megane RS 300 Trophy. Looking at the car's exterior, one of the things that got me really excited when I first saw this was the colour. Now, before I'd seen a colour with RS, which was the tonic orange, and it absolutely popped. In comes this with liquid yellow, and believe me, it turns heads everywhere, especially in the sunshine. Compared to its German competitors, the pricing of this paint job is £1,300, which is extremely good when you look at some of the other paint jobs on the market. When you look round at the body, you've got the RS styling, so you've got the flat bottom sills, the slightly wider arches, you've got the 19-inch wheels here as well, nice little Brembo brakes peeping out of there. And at the front, you've got the F1 style inspired front blade, which is in gunmetal grey with the honeycomb in the grille. And then also, one of the nice little touches from Renault Sport here is that you have the lights. So when you click on to unlock your car, first thing you see is the little Renault Sport lights lighting up in the front grille. I think when you're looking at this car and seeing it come up in your rearview mirror, it's definitely gone and catch your eye. As with hot hatches, some of the styling notes are always sort of red flashes, which you can see on the wheel, and also you've got the gloss black on the wind mirrors here, and quite a deep dark tint on the rear door windows, on the passenger windows there, so it's quite dark when you look in. But coming round to the back, this is something that I wasn't sure of at first because, you know, ever since the 4KA, a central exhaust has not really been my thing, but this car gets away with it because it all ties in nicely with that functional diffuser. With a hot hatch, I think it has to be practical, so the fact that this has got 4 doors as well makes the whole thing so much easier to live with day to day. Also, the boot space. I mean, my cameraman's got all of his kit in here and some, and there's still room for some more. Exterior styling is, of course, really important, but the thing that really makes this car come alive is the way it drives. Looks aside, the main thing about these cars is how they drive. Now, I've had this Megane RS for a couple of weeks now in London, and so I've experienced it around town, which, as we all know, is not a pleasant experience when you're kind of on and off the clutch all the time. But the one thing I will say about the clutch in this car is it's quite nice and light, and in comparison to the Honda Civic Type R, which I had, it's a lot more user-friendly because after a while I was getting the old car fake. So, quick specs on this car. It is obviously a 1.8 turbocharged, it's got 300 brake horsepower, and that's 400 Newton meters of torque. Now, there is 2 other variations of the Megane, which are 280 brake, but this one is the premier of the team. I honestly believe with a hot hatch that, you know, a manual box is key because first, second and third gears are where you can have all the fun, and that's definitely down to how the car reacts and also how much torque that it's got. 400 in this really does show itself up when you start to realise how much the torque steer starts to interfere when you're going up the gears. Whilst I've been driving this car around the city, I did become quite aware of how firm the suspension is because going over bumps, that sort of thing, different road surfaces, you become very aware of what's actually happening on the road because you're kind of bouncing around a little bit. You can feel it here as I'm about to go over a bump. It's like, and I went over that at 15 miles an hour. So you can kind of tell that it's definitely quite stiff. The gearbox can be a little bit notchy, but for me, I don't really mind that because I like to feel when it goes into gear that you know you're in gear because nobody wants to have the whole thing of the passenger sat next to you going, well, if you can't find it, grind it. That is definitely not going to happen in this car. The acceleration in these things is really fun. I mean, I don't think that you need much more than 300 brake horsepower if you're going to have it as a daily driver, because beyond that, you can't really use the power. Whereas this car really puts it down onto the road. You do get the, you know, added sensation of the torque steer, but that only adds to the excitement of driving it. Around these sort of B roads, that sort of thing, the 4-wheel steer system, which this car also has, really starts to come alive because it really helps with cornering and keeps the car fully planted. I hadn't actually driven a car with 4-wheel steer before, so I was really excited to get in this and experience it. It definitely helps because you feel like you've got loads of grip, and for a front wheel drive car, that's everything that you really want. You have 5 driving modes in this car, so you've got sport, race, comfort and neutral. Obviously comfort and neutral are for when you're around town, and then sport and race are the ones which realistically all of us want to be in. One of the funny things is the exhaust system on this. It's got quite, like, you can hear it there, like hilarious pops and bangs, and they're not quite as augmented as when you were in the i30N or something like that, where it almost sounds like it's been artificially put in. To me, this car feels like a little race car because you have the fact that it's like heavy-ish on the front, but then you've still got all of the grip from the limited slip differential and then also that 4-wheel steer. Going around these roads, it really is so funny to drive. Manual boxes for me are always the one, because if you're really gonna enjoy a hot hatch for what it is and take it out on the roads that it deserves, like this, you wanna be enjoying going through the gears. Race mode is the one that I spend most of my time in, because that's when you really feel all of the car's technology come alive. What Renault Sport have done with this is take as much as they can of that race technology and put it into a road car. So for someone that really enjoys racing or is a really big fan of Renault Sport, this car is kind of like the ultimate collector's car. I mean, for where this car sits in the price point, it's this with the optional extras that it's got in it, including the Sport Recaro Sports Pack, also the paint and also the Bose sound system. It stands in at £36,000, which in comparison to its other competitors is really reasonable. And for the amount of fun that you can have in this car as well, I know that if I had one of these, I would want to immediately take it out on track, because for all of that technology to work, you want to be able to take it out somewhere where you can let it completely loose, but you can still have loads of fun in it. Fuel economy wise, I've been getting around 30 miles to the gallon, so that's not too bad. You're not going to be filling it up every 5 minutes, which it can be a nightmare. The car does 0 to 62 in 5.7 seconds, and that's also got a top speed of 162. Now, I haven't tested that, but I'm sure somebody will take it to a drag strip somewhere and see where that goes. When I opened the door to this for the first time and I saw that it had Recaro CS Sportster seats in it, I was like, yes, because they are my favourite aftermarket seat. When I was in the modifying scene, people were putting them in all sorts of things, from Mark IV Golfs, Mark V Golfs, and anything else. I've seen them also in like a Mark II Golf, bizarrely. They're so comfortable, they really hug you and keep you nicely planted in the driving seat. There's lots of adjustment in the steering wheel, so if you need to get yourself properly comfortable before you take it on a run, that's very easy. The steering wheel is a tiny bit beefy round here. I do like the fact that it's black Alcantara and the leather. There's actually black Alcantara everywhere in here with red stitching. It kind of all ties in with that sort of sporty feel. The only thing I will say is some of the materials that they've used in the dashboard are not as good as I would like them to be, but this is a minor thing. Also, the dashboard is quite far back and tilted up, so it's a very different driving position to anything that I've driven before. The infotainment leaves a little bit to be desired. I mean, it's got the Bose pack in it, which means you get the 8.7-inch portrait screen here in the middle, which you've got Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, so as soon as you just plug your phone in, then you've got all your apps that you need to use. Obviously, we all live on Spotify and Waze, so they are readily available in front of you. And although it's not always the quickest, the fact that you have this big screen in front of you makes it so much easier to navigate through your apps. The Bose sound system in this thing is incredible, and I would even go as far to say that it's probably one of the best sound systems that I've heard. Crystal clear, the bass in it is wicked as well. Honestly, I was so impressed when I plugged my phone in and started listening to my music. It's made long journeys so much easier. I was really excited to drive this simply because I know that the Clio RS, I've been in a 182 as well, like they have serious heritage in the hot hatch territory, so this has a lot to live up to. I think the Megane RS Trophy 300, if I had the option, I would buy it in this spec, simply because it has all the things that I think make this particular car special, with obviously there's the sports seats in it, has the cool paint colour, and it also has the Bose sound system in it. It really is fun to drive. Realistically, first, second and third and fourth, like you're having loads of fun, and that extra sort of kick of torque makes it a joy to drive. Everybody knows that, you know, when you're going around corners, to be able to sort of downshift and put your foot down It's got loads of power. I honestly believe that, as I said earlier, you don't really need much more than 300 brake on a normal, like, everyday driver. And the way this puts it down makes it really fun. I'm looking to buy a car in this sort of price range at the moment, so I'm looking anywhere from 30,000 up to 45, and it's sitting like sort of slap bang in the middle with 36. This car has got a lot of tech in it, but there's just a few little things that I personally wouldn't go for. The seating position for me, with the dashboard being so high, it makes me have to sit higher in the car, and I'm definitely someone who always likes to sit lower. But that's completely subjective as to where you like to sit. I think for the money, you definitely get bang for your buck. It's super quick. I think this thing is for someone who is a real, enthusiast of the brand, or someone who's just been introduced to, real race technology on the road. It has all the things that you kind of want in a real fun, sporty kind of way. All in all, the Trophy is designed for someone who wants to experience Renault Sport's racing prowess on the road. Its price point keeps it well within reach of its German competitors. If I was going to get one, you definitely have to go for the Larry colour and the Recaro Sports Pack in there. You'll be feeling like Daniel Ricciardo on the way to the shops in no time. Well guys, I hope you've enjoyed this. Make sure you subscribe for many more videos to come. I'm out.